Hi, this is Dillon and Sam,
Hi.
and we're recording episode 11 of our podcast. We've taken a couple weeks off for Christmas and New Year's and all that good stuff. Me and Sam actually got a little bit of news for everybody.
We got married.
Anyway, me and her got married over our little break, and yeah, had a good Christmas, good New Year's. I don't really remember much to speak of.
No.
But anyway, for not season, we ain't in there yet.
11.
Episode 11, we've got Chris Rusmisel. Did I get it right?
You did.
Awesome. Anyway, hi Chris. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, stuff like that, kids, job?
Yeah, so I live around a little town called Claysville, Pennsylvania. It's down in the southwest corner of Pennsylvania, maybe about 40 minutes south of Pittsburgh. Got two little girls, 8 and 5. Both of them are starting to get into tractor pulling pretty good. I don't know if people look at my Facebook, they take things pretty serious. So if you look at their game faces, and I got a fiance, Angie. We just got engaged in June of this year, so getting married next year in October. So that's exciting. Been busy. I should say she's been busy planning all that. So I just told her to let me know what time and where I need to be and how to dress. So
that's exactly what we did.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've helped her. I said she's picked out all the decorations and all that stuff, and she'll say to me on the couch, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "I love it, babe. That's perfect."
Great. It's so good.
Yeah, as long as you're happy, I'm happy.
It's beautiful. I tell her all the time, I'd get married on the front porch. It doesn't matter. So
we got married in our living room. So
yeah, I saw that. It actually looked pretty darn nice. I mean, we're just getting married at there's a little barn kind of venue just up the street here in this little town we live in. So it's going to be fun. I've been raised and grown up here. So this is my hometown. She actually moved here from Illinois. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. What part of Illinois?
Well, a little funny story about her. And I didn't even know this, but, she's actually a Vogel, believe it or not. Kevin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Kevin is her cousin and Chuck is her uncle. So.
Oh, wow.
Married into a pretty good family there.
Yeah. Well, the funny part is, we went out on our first date and, whatever. And I was talking to somebody about a tractor parts or something. And we were sitting there having a couple beers and she looked over and she goes, "So, you're into tractor pulling, huh?" I said, "Well, I mean, I'm starting to kind of get into it a little bit." She goes, "Well, what do you know about the Vogels?" I said,
"Never heard of them."
Oh yeah. I said, I mean, I know they make some pretty nice stuff. I've obviously know Kevin from talking to him and stuff. She goes, "Well, how well do you know him?" I said, "I mean, not that well, just kind of business and whatever." And she said, "Well, that's my cousin." And I'm like thinking third, fourth cousin, whatever. And she's like, No, that's like my Uncle Chuck. And I'm like, shut up. You know what I mean? Like,
and then you asked her to marry you.
Yeah, I did. It wasn't too long after that. I thought I got to get in on this. So
that's awesome. Those are some great people.
They are phenomenal people, but everybody always asks me, "You get a discount?" I said, "You obviously don't know Uncle Chuck very well because he doesn't give a discount."
That's all right.
Anybody that knows Uncle Chuck says you're not getting a discount. So
unfortunately, light bill don't discount, neither does insurance or payroll. So
exactly. Yeah. So anyway, actually, I am a horseshoer for a living. So I shoe racehorses. We have standardbird racehorses. And so I shoe those and it's a full-time job, obviously. And then my fiance has a small stable of about somewhere between 5 and 8. She kind of varies. Does it all by herself. So we're highly vested in horses and race horses, which I know is kind of odd for most guys. Usually they're, the pull tractors are either mechanics or fabricators or welders or whatever. But I've always been involved in into horses. That's kind of what we grew up doing. So kind of ventured off into that, and here we are. It's been 20 some odd years. So
well, that's cool. My whole mom's side of the family's real big into horses, both like calf ropers and race horses.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the Cut Singers by chance?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I was just looking at Angie. I don't think she knows them either. No,
yeah,
she doesn't.
They're real big in race horses, or used to be. I don't know. Uncle Jerry's kind of getting older, and
right.
They do a lot of breeding and stuff here in Southern Illinois, and I know. I don't really know anymore how big they are, but I know back when I was a teenager, I used to throw a lot of hay for them and bale a lot of hay.
It's funny how we all remember the work that comes with livestock and animals and horses and everything else.
Buddy, I wouldn't trade it for nothing, because by throwing that hay got me a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
And it was stuff that I didn't really realize at the time.
Yep.
Good people, and taught me a lot. So.
Yep. Yeah, so that's what we do. My girls, outside of tractor pulling, they do, they do the horse thing too. They have some rodeo barrel horses with their mom. So, in the summertime we're busy with that, and they're doing real well with that too. They've been riding since they just could barely sit up in the saddle. So, So horses are a big part. That's what funds the habit of tractor pulling. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Whenever I was younger, I used to ride a lot. I always liked trail riding better, and my sister is more into barrel racing. And I don't know, as I got older, I just kind of got away. I learned what a motor was, I think, and got real interested in four-wheelers and bikes and stuff like that.
Well, the funny part is what's that, Sam?
I've never ridden a horse.
Yeah, well, you're gonna laugh at this, but you want to know something? I've probably ridden a horse about 3 times in my whole life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Isn't that wild? I've driven them. I've done a lot of stuff with them, but just, I just never really got into the whole riding thing. To be honest with you, I've always been kind of a gearhead.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing what I do for a living, quite a bit, but, my what do I want to call it? Like my release and my downtime, I just want to go wrench. That's all I want to do. So. I'll leave the track after shoeing all day and go to the shop for a couple hours and just kind of relax and, work on whatever projects we have going on and all that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of funny, people will be like, "Oh, you're into riding," and I'm like, not really. Not really. Our horses are mainly, they're like livestock. If they're not making us money, then they're just like anything else. They kind of got to go somewhere else. So.
Yeah. How old are you, Chris?
42. Well, I'll be 42 in August, I should say. So.
I'll tell you what, that really surprises me. You shoe so much. I got an Uncle Joe. He used to shoe a lot. Man, I know that was rough on a guy's back.
Yeah, it's you definitely earn every dollar. I mean, it's a good living, but you earn it, And we counted up the other day. I kind of started doing neighbors' ponies and stuff. I think I was 16 or 15. So I've been at it, that whole time. So
wow.
Yeah, I always tell people I'd love to have another 10 years in me, but who knows? Who knows?
What kind of rig you got set up? Do you have just a little gas getter car and you got stuff in the back of it? Do you got a truck with utility bed, trailer? What?
I have, it's actually kind of neat at these standard bred racetracks is we have actual shops there, and they're 12 by 20. And, we go and, you just get the horses and bring them right to the shop. So it's just built,
okay.
It's just set up. It's got a forge and an animal. Everything's right there. But then I also do a lot of work with like the vets and things in the area. And I have a little 5x8 like cargo trailer I just put behind my pickup. So. Yeah,
my uncle used to, I think he had a little Honda Civic, and I mean, he'd have his anvil and everything there in the back in the trunk and set it all up and. Yeah, but I mean, he would go all over the place doing it too. So a little gas getter car was handy for him.
Yeah. I got into the race horses about 5 years ago. I shoed what we call riding horses or on the road horses for the first part, and then I got into these race horses about 5 years ago. And honestly, it's just been an absolute blessing. They're just they're so great to work on. I literally drive there every day. Work from 7:30 to 3:30 or so, 4 o'clock at the latest, and come home. It's real steady. The horses are all really well behaved. It's been great, honestly.
Do you get into using any tungsten shoes? Have you ever messed with that with the race?
No, they kind of, every so often they come out with kind of what we call a new gimmick, and they did do the tungsten thing for a while, but the problem was it was so hard to actually work, hot,
right.
And it was so expensive that if you made a mistake, it never really took off. I mean, phenomenal idea, just the application of it just really wasn't, just couldn't work. So, but mainly our stuff's all mild, just mild steel and aluminum. So.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I remember hearing my cousins talk about some tungsten coming into play, and I was just wondering if that's still a thing or not.
No, it never really stuck. I mean, I'm sure there's always somebody out there that has something that they made, but the problem is just the user friendliness of it is just tough. So
right,
yeah.
Well, we've got some silly. We've been calling them icebreaker questions, just, half a dozen or so. We're going to go ahead and get started with that.
Would you rather go deep sea fishing or ice fishing?
I think I'd rather go deep sea fishing. I don't mind the cold, but there's just something about sitting on an ice cube that doesn't sound real appetizing. There's a lot of guys around here that ice fish because, we don't get super, super cold weather, but, we'll get some good ice. But I don't know. I've actually never been, I don't think I've ever done either. I've been out on Lake Erie. I've done walleye fishing and stuff, but nothing like, I'm not really big into fishing. I'm like one of those guys that always has to be busy. And fishing,
I understand.
Fishing to me is like, I take the girls and, but I spend more time baiting their hooks and untangling lines than fishing. So.
Yeah.
Do you have a nickname?
No, I don't. Ange goes Boo Bear. That's what she calls me. So it's kind of hard to make a nickname out of my last name, obviously. So I've never really had a name. When I actually went to horseshoeing school out in Missouri, and they called me Yank just because obviously being from Pennsylvania. But that's about the only thing I ever had. So.
The pancakes or waffles?
We got to go waffles. Give me 2 random.
How many parts on your tractor were one on Rapples?
Well, so I was just talking to Wes earlier this evening. we were BSing about I got a new tractor I'm putting together for summer this year, and I told him, I said, I don't really have that much in it. It's just kind of spare parts and some waffle stuff, to be honest with you. It really is. And he goes, man, you got to figure out a name for it, to tie in the waffle thing. And I go, obviously, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are up there in Wes and Heidi's neck of the woods, aren't you?
Yeah, they just live over the hill. He's maybe not even 10 minutes from me. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, that's neat.
Yeah, so what's that?
Those are some good people, too. I'm really glad I've met them.
Yeah, he's really helped me. I pulled trucks. Matter of fact, him and I were just talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
I started pulling diesel pickup trucks, I think I don't know, I couldn't figure out if it was 2007 or 2008. And, anyway, long story short, we were talking about, what his plans are for this summer and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's good people, and he's helped me so much with tractor pulling because it's just such a different world, than pulling trucks, like with setup and just everything, tire choices and weight and where you put it and who to get a hold of and, who are your, engine builders. And yeah, he's really helped me a bunch. So.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's probably a story behind this, but how fast can you rewire your tractor?
So it was Liberty, Kentucky. And we were pushing the tractor up to the line, and it was a little bit cold that day. So I started the tractor up and let it run. It was my twin. Started it up and just put a little heat in it. and sitting there, and all of a sudden it stopped. It was like somebody hit the key. So long story short, I was like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 away from hooking. So we're like tearing into it, and Grooms is standing beside me. Matt Grooms is standing beside me, and we're like kind of thrashing, looking at it. And Matt Pence was standing there, and they're like, "What's wrong?" You know, we start looking at connections, and we're kind of just like as fast as you can. And all of a sudden, we start looking. We're like, we started tracing it down. So I sprint out to the trailer because I didn't have a circuit tester. I sprint out to the trailer, grab a circuit tester, start testing things. Long story short, the kill switch went bad. Between just starting it and, it ran the day before. So sometime between running and, it shorted or whatever happened. I don't know what happened. But long story short, we thrashed with a penknife, a pair of pliers, and some extra wire that I had just laying over there by my pit. And we wired in a kill switch. And I ended up having to drop 6 spots, but, ended up getting it. Of course, the tractor still didn't run. There was a problem in the engine, so we did all that and still didn't make a good pass. But yeah, so it was one of those deals. But we all joke, like those guys, in the NQS, we always say you have to be able to work on literally everything on that tractor within 2 minutes. If you can't, say get into the clutch or get into the kill switch or look at the wire, if you can't do it in a matter of 6 hooks, then you need to figure out how to do it. So, but yeah, that's the story behind that. That was something else. I was sweating. We were all a hot mess, but it went down the track, but I ended up actually having a loose valve guide. So, it didn't run right, but, yeah, that's the story behind that one.
So I know you touched on truck pulling a little bit. And when we talked at DuCoin, you told me a little bit about that. So tell us a little bit about truck pulling. I think that'll answer our other question too of, how did you get into pulling?
So first of all, we have to tell Dan Rude that Duramax is the ultimate platform. Anyway, let's get that out of the way. So now that's cleared up. And so we, I bought I want to say it was a 2005 Duramax and, bought it used, had, 50,000 miles on it. And, of course, back then first thing you did is you drove it home and you cut the exhaust off of it and, put a stack in the bed. So my dad was, I'm laying in the driveway with a Sawzall cutting this thing off. I haven't even made the first truck payment on it. And he is like, "What are you doing?" Well, my dad was always into motorsports too. So it wasn't, not that big of a, he knew exactly what we were doing. We were, full of it anyway. So
yeah, racetrack.
So yeah, exactly. So we, at that point in time, truck pulling was just kind of starting, diesel truck pulling was just starting to really kind of gain some traction. And, so you would just stack up some performance chips and, put your pulling tires on. And a lot of times we drove them straight to the pool and hoped and prayed that you didn't break it. So anyway, one thing leads to another, just like everything in motorsports. And, by the time I was done with that Duramax, it was completely not roadworthy. It was a full blown 2.6 diesel truck with, everything you could do to it with a fully built engine and all that. But it got to the point where diesel trucks were just getting astronomically priced for everything. We were taking turbos out that were, $5,000, $6,000,
yeah.
And it was happening 2 and 3 times a year. And it just got to the point where it wasn't fun anymore. It was just getting to the point where it just was crazy. So anyway, ended up selling that truck off. We put it back to streetworthy, believe it or not, sold it. And, I'd say I probably pulled that thing through probably 2013 or 14, somewhere in that ballpark. So, 7, 8 years. And I had a lot of fun with it. Went all over the country with it, really. But so kind of I didn't really step away from pulling, but, I always followed it. I have a good buddy, Calvin Miller, who pulls the super stock diesel. I was always kind of tagging along with him and having fun and just enjoying. And then about 3 years ago, started kind of looking at these pulling tractors. And I actually really like the diesel, but, kind of started looking around and I'm like, well, there's not really any classes for it around here. And, it just kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense logistically. Everything was either clear out in Ohio or it was like out east. And, just didn't, I thought I'm not driving 4 hours to make a hook on a tractor. So, got a little bit more into, did a little more research and whatnot. And, kind of unlike everybody else, I went lock, stock, and barrel and, started building my Pro Twin. A lot of guys start, at, younger age and start on a 12 and kind of work their way up. And we have a running joke that, it's all gas and no brakes with me. And, I went lock, stock, and barrel and started to kind of put the pieces together for a Pro Twin. And I decided, hey, that's what I want to do. I love how they sound. I love the speed. I love everything about them. So I started looking around a little bit and, pricing engines and talked to Midwest and so on and so forth. Well, long and short, Chris Rusmisel ended up posting his engine for sale. And, that was in like March or April of, I guess that would have been 22 or 23. I can't remember. But anyway, so called him up, talked to him, ended up buying the engine. Sent it to me. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to start putting together a chassis. So, started to piece together, I ended up buying some stuff from Brian and, so on and so forth. Well, long story short, Chris gets a hold of me probably 3 months later and says, hey, I'm going to let go of that chassis. He goes, would you be interested? And I said, well, I don't know. You're in Wisconsin. I'm here, indoor pulling season was already over and, so it's going to be hard to figure it out. He goes, well, he gave me a price on it. And I said, well, see what it would cost to ship it. So I think he went to Fastenal and figured it out. Well, long story short, created it all up, shipped it to me, showed up, and, we thrashed and put it together. And then our first hook was in October of that year with it. And, honestly, it's been about a year and a half of like working the bugs out of it and, figuring things out and doing what I want to do and not do. And, we're a little shy on power right now, but, I think we got some plans for later this summer to take care of that. So I think we're going to maybe go a different direction with the twin. So, I use Mark Rader for all my twin stuff.
Okay.
And, so Mark and we're pretty good friends and, we've been back and forth and he has some stuff in the works as well. So pretty excited to see where it goes. We're up in there. We're in the middle of the pack, which I'm not by any means disappointed with that because at the end of the day, I really don't know much of anything about tractor pulling still. I mean, a lot of these guys have been at it 20, 30, 40 years and I've only been tractor pulling 3 years. And really this year was this is my first full year of indoor stuff. So, I've been learning, Taylor Gardner and Chris have been helping me a bunch and Wes and, those guys have just helped me out a tremendous amount with setup and just everything, and so that's how it is. And then, of course, everything spirals out of control. So now I have a stock alder single. That first hook on it was at, where was that? That was at, Liberty. So we're still figuring that out. Those things are kind of they're not a big powered engine, but boy, they're their own animal as far as setup and everything.
Yeah.
And then we got some stalkers, we play around in the summer. So I'm mainly into the twins. I really like twins, but, the kid's got a pretty good running 12 horse and couple
I love
20.
my 12 horse.
You know what? So funny story. So they pulled a couple years and I'm ultra competitive. So they pulled and, I was just getting them used to it. I mean, heck, they're only 5 and 8. So, you can't get too crazy. So I kept everything dialed way back. And, about the third pull, my oldest daughter, Aubrey, goes, Dad, I said, what? She said, I want to go fast. I go, what do you mean? I said, what do you mean go fast? She said, I want a tractor that's loud like yours. And I said, well, hon, I don't really have anything. You know what I mean? Like, we can't just like, there's not really a kids class or anything for a twin. And she said, I don't really care. I just want to go fast. I said, okay. So I had a little Stalker 12 and just so they could get used to driving, all that stuff. And we hurried up and slammed in a stock 20 for them. And they think that's the best thing ever because it sounds like Dad's tractor. So they don't even it doesn't count, you know what I mean? Because I have to help them and they both pull in the same class and, but everybody's awesome. You know how tractor pulling is. They don't, if a kid's interested, they're into it. So this year, I said to him this year, listen, you're going to get your own kids tractor to pull in the kids class. And Obbs goes, well, it's not going to be slow, is it? And I said, no, it's not going to be slow. So we'll have a brand new tractor for this year for their kids class. So they're excited. So they got helmets and stuff for Christmas. So they're all jazzed up and ready.
Oh, that's what I love. I'm sure you've heard me talk about my nephew, Huey. He just eats it up. He likes doing wheelies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So my youngest daughter's pretty feral. She's my wild child. And she is, I never have to tell her to give it more gas. Let's just put it that way. And my oldest is a little more reserved, but she is very methodical about everything she does. So she wants to know, why does the tractor do this? Why do we put more weight here? Which is pretty cool. It's, it's neat to have both ends of the spectrum, but they enjoy it and they have fun. And then, that's the most important thing.
Oh yeah. My nephew's kind of got his thing he likes to do every pull, which it's good. He's learned, he knows we check the air. He knows we check gas, and he knows we check oil, and he makes sure we do it. He's 4. Yep. And one of the funniest memories I got from this past year is my grandparents come down to watched him pull, and we asked him, we're like, you want to do good, or what do you want to do? We've been kind of letting him have the choice.
Yep.
And Uncle Dillon, I want to do wheelies for Mama and Pawpaw. All right, buddy. So we stuck all the weight we could on the back, and he got out there and did a big old wheelie, and he's like, "Did I win?" We're like, "No, buddy, you wanted to do a wheelie."
Yeah.
Oh well, next time I won't win. So
yeah, right. It's not fun to lose.
Yeah. So.
But you got to do a wheelie.
Yeah. It's fun just seeing what he comes up with, and just he's so grown up about it. He eats it up. I love that he's doing it.
We have a pretty big shop. It's pretty good size. And so the girls in the wintertime, while we're working on stuff, I put a sandbox and they have their swing set in there and, all the things. But every now and again they get to where they want to come over and work on stuff. And, I always give them, of course they drag my tools all over the shop and whatever. But, you got to teach them, because if you don't teach them now, then, it doesn't do them any good later in life. So.
Absolutely. Yep. So, what organization did you pull the truck in? Was it just kind of local fair pulls?
Back then, one year I decided that I was going to follow one particular, organization, and it was called NADM, which was, I think it was North American Diesel Motorsports. I don't know if that's even still around. And then one other year I went with Full Pool Productions, which is, it's a pretty good organization around here. And then, we did a lot of brush pulling, because honestly, I'm sure it's out there where there's a county fair, 4 nights out of the week through the summer. So you can just go pull anywhere. So, yeah. And, it was super competitive. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, the problem is it just got to the point where, you had $70,000 in a pickup truck, and it's I just don't make that kind of money, it's just not in the budget. So, but I knew when I got into the tractors, I wanted to do it at what really kind of drew me to them is I knew that I could afford to be able to do it at a high level. So that's what I kind of was like, you know what? And his track, it was still pulling. So I got the camaraderie of all that. And, and it's actually turned into way better than I actually anticipated it would. I mean, meeting these guys on the NQS, and then we got a real nice group of guys through the summer that, we have about probably three clubs within an hour or hour and a half of here. So, we all kind of run in that same group, and, we have a good group of people, and it's just been a lot of fun. It's turned out to be better than I thought it would, to be honest.
That kind of sounds like around here for us too. We got some really good people around here we pull with, and I've really enjoyed going to NQS pulls. Obviously I go and sell parts and stuff, but I've never been really treated like any kind of outsider or anything, just welcome with open arms, and I've made some pretty good friends doing it, and I hope one of these days I've got a tractor there, but also I just kind of like being there, hanging out and selling parts too, visiting with everybody.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed because I can't make the Greenville, but the girls have.
Oh.
The girls have things, so families come first as far as that goes.
I understand.
I wanted to get there, but I tried to finagle it every which direction, but it's just not going to happen. So I'll miss that. I do enjoy seeing those, that crew every month or so, and through the winter it's a lot of fun. I get to see all them guys from Wisconsin, and we go out to dinner and have all that fun, and it's a lot of fun. And I tell people that all the time, like, even if you don't have a tractor for that level, I mean, just come hang out,
Yeah.
Cause you can just walk through the pits and look at tractors and pick up ideas, and, there's so much knowledge at those pools. It's just, it's mind boggling, really.
Oh, absolutely. It's neat to me too, how you can become such good friends and so tight with people that are 10 hours away from you.
Yeah. Yep. Sure is. Yeah. Like I talked to, like I said, the boys from Wisconsin. I talked to them quite a bit through text, and, we'll call them BS and everything.
Yeah.
But we just kind of pick right up where we, the last time we saw each other, and, it's fun, man. Like I said, this year was my first full year, and I've met a lot more people this year because I just kind of sporadically hit them last year because we were fighting gremlins in the new tractor, and, I thought, I'm not driving 8, 9, 10 hours for these, to these and fighting gremlins. But, we had I don't know, I guess we had a little bit of a rough part of the first part of the year, but things have ironed out now. But yeah, it's great. And like, I keep wanting to get Angie to come with me because I'm like, you would love it. Like, it's fun. It's like, once the pulling's over, everybody's, back to having fun and going to dinner and have a couple beers. And, it's a good time. It's expensive. I understand that. And, it's not in everybody's budget, but it sure is fun.
Everything's expensive anymore. Just pick something.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
What are the names of your tractors, and why?
I have a little bit of a theme. I started out with the name of my pro was called Loud and Heavy. It's actually, I love Cody Jinks, so that's kind of where that came from.
That was our next question.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where it came from.
I wasn't sure if you liked RJ Simon or Cody Jinks.
You know what? I kind of actually completely forgot about RJ Simon having Loud and Heavy. And then somebody told me that, and I go, you know what? I completely forgot all about that. But no, it was actually named after the song Loud and Heavy.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and then I have Top Heavy, which is maybe a little bit rated R. We probably shouldn't have on the podcast, but if anybody knows my fiance, you'd know why. And then I have what's that?
Nothing.
It took him a second to figure out what you were.
Yeah. All right.
We're not top heavy over here, so. And
then I actually have a mod stock 25. It's kind of an open RPM, but a stock, kind of a stock valve size, downdraft carb, whatever. And we call it, hot and heavy. So it just kind of stuck with that. There's really no rhyme nor reason of that, but that's just kind of what it is. And then the girls have their tractor. Their one tractor's called Sittin' Pretty. So, and it's got, I don't know if you've ever seen the picture of it, but it's purple and pink sparkle paint, and it's it's got butterflies and fairies on it. So it's,
I love it.
yeah, it's
I do
cute.
need to see a picture of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cute.
We really wish we had a niece that wanted to pull so we could do a girl-themed one.
When I had my girl, I had my first daughter, I was like, I want to say I was bummed, but, as a guy, you kind of want a boy and, you hear all the stories and blah, blah, blah. And then, obviously after a little bit of time, she has me wrapped around her finger, and then her sister came along, and I thought, I wouldn't trade these two little girls for a boy to save my life. Like they are, the sun rises and sets on them, according to me. So.
Yeah.
Girl dads are better.
We're a little different, aren't we?
Yeah. I can always tell when a man is a girl dad. And I always tend to like them better than boy dads.
That's funny. Yeah, it took me, because I'm kind of a little bit of a rough and tough guy. It took me a little bit to figure out how to handle girls.
You probably needed it.
Yeah, probably. It helped. It calmed me down quite a bit. It really did.
So, yeah, I mentioned we wish we had a niece that was into pulling. I might be able to pull that off this year. Our niece Maddie was over, and her and our nephew Colton were playing with some pulling tractors here at the house. And I told Maddie, I'm like, Aunt Sam runs one of those, right? And she's like, really? I said, yeah, but it's little, it's your size. You can run it. Oh, cool. And she kept playing some more. And then she looked at me and she's like, are any of your tractors here? And I said, yeah. Can we go look at one? So she's what, 5? 4. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
Same age as
yeah.
Colton, yeah.
So anyway, she wanted to go out and sit on one and check it out. So I don't know. Maybe she's easing into getting on it. I hope so.
We were told by my best friend was like, if she wants to do that, you guys have to fund it because we're paying for all her sport.
Yeah, and
I said, we can do that.
Yeah, right. We'll make that happen, huh?
She's a cheerleader and gymnastics and all that, so it kind of surprised me.
Oh, my girls are girly girls. I mean, they're tough, but they're, Barbie playing dolls, do your hair. But I'll tell you what, when it comes time to tractor pull, it's all business. They're funny. They, what actually got them hooked is we have a club that we pull with. It's east a little bit of here, but they have a tractor and it's a club tractor. And what they do is anybody can pull it. It's $10. Yeah. So like if you have a couple kids and, you're not sure if they're into it or, maybe you just want to give them a try or, whatever it might be. Well, they pulled it twice and they were absolutely hooked. And they're like, we love this. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something actually we kind of kicked around doing in our club is having one to do that. I have one that I just kind of let people get on. I think that's been a wonderful thing. It's kind of neat to hear that another club's doing that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And they're, and the good part is it's a pretty good running little youth tractor. Yeah. So, it's not like they get on it and get, last place. They have a good chance of being right up in there with all the other kids. So, kind of gives them an incentive to whatever. But yeah, like I said, we have some really nice clubs here. We have the SWPA club with Wes and, the Jared and those guys. And, they do a really, really good job of putting on pools. And then we have a pool or a club up north that has quite a few. And it's in a real nice, like Grange Park that has some nice trees. And, it's a nice place, has a playground for the kids. And then we have one out east that we pool with mainly. And, it's at like a fireman's park type of thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. a nice flat area. And, like I said, everybody does a really good job. And, I enjoy summer pool, and I know like a lot of guys that do the NQS stuff, they don't necessarily summer pool, but I enjoy it because the kids aren't in school and, I take my mom and Ange goes and, we have a big trailer and, we'll cook out and, we kind of make a whole day of it and it's fun. I enjoy it because it's way less. Well, first of all, it's not near as expensive, and secondly, it's way more laid back. Everybody can have fun. So it's, it's nice, I don't really pull the NQS tractors that much, just the money pulls.
Yeah.
And, so there's no pressure. You just go out, you hit the key on the tractor, it starts, you pull it, you have fun, you put it back in the trailer and you go home. So, and everybody has fun and the kids are dirty and, you got to visit with everybody and it's, I enjoy summer pulling. So
that's something I've kind of tried to stress whenever we talk on here, like for people that might be new to it to listen to, is don't let it intimidate you, because that's my favorite part of it too, is just going and sitting under the tent and visiting with everybody. And we've got a club too that's got that we go pull at. They've got playground. Everybody's kids will just run off and all the kids are together.
Exactly.
And
that's
typically around ours, there's a whole herd of kids running around. Nobody's worried about them because everyone knows kind of where they belong, or everyone will get on to them if they need to. And just,
Ange works a lot on Saturdays, with the racehorses, and I only work Saturdays if if I'm behind or, work, the load's pretty heavy or whatever. But my mom goes with me a bunch and, she helps me. And, she at first was always getting real worried. And I said, Mom, we know everybody here.
Yeah.
Like all these little heathens are together and I know what heathen belongs to which one, to what adult. So like, just let them go.
Oh, yeah.
We sit there and enjoy, and, I get to visit with her because, life's so busy. Sometimes you don't get to really sit down uninterrupted. You're in and out and this and that. And it is nice. It's fun. And then Angie usually comes after she finishes up, at the track I really enjoy summer pulling. It's fun.
Just the visiting and being around everybody is the fun part. It's not necessarily the taking the tractor down the track. That's fun, but just hanging out, giving each other crap, jabbing each other.
Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, what do you pull for? Maybe 45 seconds to a minute, what I mean?
And then 12 hours there.
Yeah. And then you're, by the time you drive and sit and do a couple rounds and come home and so you better make it enjoyable. Cause if not, you're not going to like it very long. So.
No, and then, the nights in the shop and goofing off out there is always fun too. You get a couple buddies over and just fiddling. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah, there's I don't know, there's probably a handful of us here that are within 20 minutes or so of each other. And, we're always running parts back and forth or borrowing something. One of the guys has a mill, or, we're always bumming something from him for that. And, it's fun, man. Like I said, truck pulling, I don't know if you've ever been involved or around it, but it's pretty cutthroat. It's pretty tough. I mean, you have your select group of, what I'd call your teammates,
right.
Not necessarily teammates, but the guys that you travel with and like, but man, I've watched guys struggle on the line and needed something, and watch guys just kind of
turn their nose to them and walk away.
Yeah. And I have never, ever had that at a tractor pull, garden tractor pull, ever. So and I'm a complete new guy. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I've been at it 3 years, which is nothing. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're fairly new. I mean, I've grown up around tractor pulling, but we got her tractor probably three years ago too.
Yeah.
And, we knew a lot of people anyway that were doing it, and that helped, but I don't know. Our group seems like everyone wants each other to beat them. We'll all share ideas and different things. It's winter time right now. Everybody's rebuilding, so we're bouncing ideas off of each other. Yeah.
I think I heard Doug or one of your previous guys say that, I want to beat you at your best, not while you're broke.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. I mean, that's just how it is.
Absolutely. So you do listen quite a bit, or you just listen to the Rudes, or?
No, I've listened to them all. Usually I end up listening to them on the way to the, these indoor pools.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness, they've been, I think,
plenty of time.
Oh God, I think the closest one's been 6.5 hours. So, I mean, that's a lot of driving. So.
You know what DuCoin was for me? That.
No, I'd rather not, because I think it took, by the time I I think it took me 9 hours to get there, and it took me 11 and a half, almost 12 to get home with weather.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys were getting some weather up there.
Oh, it
that
was
weekend.
horrible.
Well, we were getting weather here starting that night. Like, my door handle was freezing at DuQuoin.
Yeah, it was terrible. Some of the guys went north that lived back this way and up, up through like on 70. And I kept looking at the radar and I thought, I'm going to stay south. So I stayed south through Kentucky, and I got to, I don't know honestly exactly where I was, but it got pretty messy. And I have a 20 some foot trailer. I mean, so it's, it isn't a little trailer. And I just kind of putzed along at, 40 mile an hour, and Andrew kept checking on me. I said, I'm coming, but it isn't a quick trip, man.
So what did you think about the venue there at DuQuoin? What did you think about that pool?
Oh, I thought that was a very nice pool. I loved how it was heated, and I thought the track was killer, man. I mean, it didn't get much tighter in a track like that. We were duct taping weights on the front of our boom.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it was, on that altar, I have a 120-pound boom, and I actually, before Doug left, we left out there, I go, hey, I need you to make me 160. He goes, if I was you, I'd just get a 180. I said, well, then sign me up, because I'm not doing that again. So
there was a lot of them.
Yeah, that thing was tight. I mean, I was in my lowest gear in both tractors, so.
I heard that from a lot of people that they could have stood to have a lower gear.
Yeah, well, there's a little trick with the hitches and stuff too. You can drop a hitch a little bit and get some more, whatever. Yeah. And matter of fact, I think I dropped a quarter or a half an inch, plus I was in my lowest gear. And I mean, my twin handled it, but the alder I could have used actually a half a gear lower. I don't have a 2-speed in it yet. And, that was a good track. I mean, it was tight.
I actually sold some hitch rings that I had, that would move the hook point out a little bit. People were trying to just throw something at it and see if it'd help.
Yeah, it was tricky. That was, and then, there's, as most people know, you keep notes on these tracks. Mm-hmm. Well, they hadn't been there in I don't know how many years. So, not a lot of people, it was pretty much an even playing field, the first day. So.
Yeah. What did you think about the sled? I heard a few gripes about the sled, but
I don't know, man. I mean, I've pulled that sled before. I pulled it in Harrisburg, and I pulled it in else. I mean, it pulls true. It's a little heavy to start, but
right.
The thing is, at the end of the day, it's everybody's pulling the same one.
Yep.
So you just got to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but those guys, that's a good sled. I mean, it's very, very rarely is there mechanical issues. And I mean, let's be honest, how many hooks did that thing go down the track with one minor, I think they had one little minor electrical issue.
Yeah, so, it was like a voltage regulator or something.
Just something.
You can't complain about that.
Yeah, I mean, so, if you can run that many tractors with no problems, I mean, it's at the end of the day, everybody hooks to the same sled, so.
What's your favorite memory from pulling?
So actually just happened last March. I actually won both days and got the best of show out at Harrisburg at that.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty special. Yeah, that was pretty special. I won both days. I think Thursday and Friday, because they don't pull Friday, Saturdays out there. And I ended up getting a best of show too with my twin. So that's a pretty tough weekend to top there.
That is a sharp tractor. I like that color a lot.
I appreciate it. I went back and forth 8 million times. And the guy the guy that finally painted it for me, I had him spray like a test panel.
Yeah.
And we looked at it, and I wasn't real thrilled about it, inside, and we took it outside, and I said, that's it. I got to have that. That's
always look at it in the sun.
Yeah, it's hard to see inside, but man, when you get it in the sun, it has a lot of metallic in it. It actually it kind of flips between like gray and green. It's kind of a neat color, really.
Oh, I never realized that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's and then, you know, of course I went with the black, which I like shiny too, but I thought the black really helped it, you know, as far as with the gray color and all that stuff.
And you've got some Black Kaiser wheels on it too, don't you? So they got a little machine to them.
Yeah, I'm a big Kaiser guy, so I like my Kaisers. But like I have an 82 series that I pull in the 25 mod and it's almost a black, but I put like it has polished aluminum Kaisers around, like, and it looks good too. It just, I thought on that tractor, I said from the very beginning, I get this idea in my head about building one, and that's what I do, and I stick and I run with it. So, yep. You know, I lay in bed and I have one I'm doing right now, which I don't really want to say a lot about it, but I've had this idea in my head for, I don't know, a year and a half. And, you know, I just couldn't quite put all the pieces together and finally everything kind of came together. So I'm excited for that one too. It's different. It's going to be kind of a little bit different, but it'll be fun. So.
Oh, I get that. Talking about paint, interesting thing on my Alice, a lot of my, like my weight bars and stuff, I had powder coated. My powder coater has an Illusion Orange is what it's called, and I love it. And I knew that's what I wanted to do with mine, but I knew there was going to be a lot of sheet metal work on my tractor, and the powder is actually kind of tough to match, but the body shop I used did a very good job on that, and it's kind of the same way in different light. It shows different colors. Like, it's really, really metallic-y and kind of gets almost a yellowish look in some of the curves to it, but like also a real deep orange. It's an interesting color too, but it matches the powder, and that was
it's very hard to match that powder because of that heat, you know. I had some time. I was looking at that Alice there, and that thing is that's a nice piece. He did a really good job on it.
Thank you. The body man did awesome. I did all the sheet metal cutting and stuff, but he did the finish, and there's actually 6 inches taken out of the center of that hood. It's off of a actual Alice Chalmers B.
Okay.
But yeah, he did a phenomenal job.
One thing I've found about, I mean, honestly, it's really everything in life, but in doing these tractors and stuff, sometimes you're better off to leave it to professionals when it comes to things like that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, we had some plumbing problems the other day here at the house, and Ange goes, "Are you going to tear into it?" I said, "There's a few things I don't mess with, and plumbing's one of them." So, you know, so I just pay the plumber, you know. It's like, he was in and out in an hour. It was fixed. It was, you know, everything was whatever. You know, I'll change a faucet or do whatever, but this was a little more than that. And, you know, there's a lot to say for a professional doing things. So
definitely.
I like that. That 82 though, that 82 series, I did everything from front to back on it. I painted it. I did it all. And, the only thing I didn't do is I didn't build the engine. I had, Andy Beckwith build the engine, but that was nice. I was a kind of a feather in the cap, you know, to do it from start to finish, and, you know, did every little bit of it. So that was fun. So
this Andy guy, is he any count?
I don't know. You know him? He's shady. You got to watch him. He was just texting me earlier. We're teasing him. I don't know if you've seen there's a picture of him floating around that I won't send it to you because I swore to him I wouldn't, but I'll have to show it to you sometime and you'll get a pretty good laugh out of it.
Looking forward to it. I always like some of the stuff Matt Grooms does.
Well, you have to ask Matt about it because Matt may or may not have been the one that showed it to me. So
I might have seen it.
You very well may have. I like Andy. I use Andy for, like, he does all my head work, and, you know, he's got some stuff for me right now. And, you know, if I get too jammed up with work, I was going to build my 25, but I ended up having him just assemble it and dyno tune it. And I like him. Like, he's kind of my man, other than Mark does my Alder and my Pro, but Andy does the other stuff. So. Mark doesn't really do, I don't know if you know Mark well, but he doesn't really do, like, piece work. You know, you can't really send him heads and have him do heads. He just wants to do full engines. So,
Well, I get that too.
Yeah,
you can get it dialed in.
Yeah, he would be an amazing guy to have on your podcast if he'd talk. That guy is he's just a wealth of knowledge. So.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But Andy is too, it's just, they're both, when I talk to them, cause I always tell them, I go, there's one thing I'm not, and that's an engine builder. I can assemble, but I can't build.
Right. And that kind of goes back to what we was just saying. Yeah. Sometimes it's best to leave it to the professionals and,
yeah. Yep.
If you can assemble the tractor, that's one thing, and have someone build you a good motor.
I enjoy doing chassis. I love building chassis. I love doing it, putting the tractor together, and I have Rick Freeze do all my transmissions and, rear ends and everything, and he's my man for that. And, I'll do a fine spline or something like that, but anything it's more than that, then, I have him do it. But things like that, those guys have so much knowledge. I mean, it takes somebody like me, it'd take me 25 years to have their knowledge, so.
Oh, yeah.
What goal do you have with polling? What are you trying to achieve?
So right now first of all, I'd love to get this alder, at least I would love to be in the top half of the class, because that alder, that class is just massive. So if I could get in the top half of my heat right now, I would just be tickled to death. And my pro, I would love to just make the finals, honestly, which I was just missed it at DuQuoin. So, we're getting there, and I'm a little shy on power from, some of these guys are running these aftermarket heads, and I'm still running a stock head. So, I'm a little behind. I mean, it makes good power and it's right up in there, but I have to really hit my setup absolutely perfect to get up in there with those, those pro style heads and everything. But my goal right now is that I would love to if I could just make the finals on my pro, would be amazing. And if I could just be in the top half of the alder, in the next couple indoor pools, you couldn't get the smile off my face. I don't think people realize how hard it is just to do that. I know that doesn't sound like much, but that's just to make the finals is something. And then to even think about winning one of those pools that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I was actually getting ready just to say that, that was something Doug really hit on.
Yeah.
Just to get into the finals is.
Yeah. You wouldn't think, you're like, I got, it was an eye-opening experience for me. I built this tractor and I'm like, it's legit, we did everything right and it makes good power and we're ready to go. And, first couple pools, I go out there and just get whipped. And I'm like, what in the world? And I'm like, well, we got to go back. So this past fall, right before the indoor series started, late summer, I had some problems on a head, and we went back to the drawing board and tested a bunch of different heads and tested some, different exhausts and some different intakes, and because I need every horsepower to hang with those guys with those aftermarket heads. So we were probably back and forth. I mean, I pulled the engine out when we left Indiana. I can't think of the town, but when we left Indiana, Princeton. I pulled the engine out before we left and literally dropped it off on the back porch at Mark's at his shop. And he did a bunch of testing, and then I picked it back up and put it back in to go down, back down to Kentucky. And, we have it. I mean, we got it figured out now. We're not getting much more out of it than what we have. So, but, if we need more, we're going to have to kind of redesign and do a new engine, which maybe isn't out of the question, but we'll have to see where it goes.
I hear that Matt guy does pretty good with the exhausts. You might.
Yeah, he's not bad. So I got a funny story on the groom's header. So I bought a groom, the header from him, and I bought his intake, and I bought them both to do testing, and we wanted to dyno test them, and Matt and I are pretty good buddies. We talked, and he goes, it'll make power. So long story short, we did it. Well, fast forward here, before we went to do coin, we were able to really dial it down, and then they got back into the heads and did some more head work and whatnot. Well, long story short, his header made a little more power, but another header I had kind of hung on for a little bit longer. Well, I have a 3-inch stroke in that engine. So it kind of likes to run in that 8,500 RPM range. That's its sweet spot. And, so long story short, I show up to do coin and I come down to the end of the track. He's standing down there watching and he goes, can't help but notice that, I don't see an Ultimate Competition Products header on that thing anymore. He goes, what did I do wrong? I go, listen, and I showed him the dyno graph and everything. I said, but I'm still running your intake. He goes, yeah, I thought we were buddies. I said, well, I'm going to use it on something else I have. He goes, all right, if you say so. But yeah, he builds a really nice product, man. I mean, he's got some super nice stuff for twins and the diesel side of things. And I think he's kind of playing around a little bit with some single stuff now.
I sure wish he would.
I don't know. I can't, you single guys, I don't know about that.
You're the first twin guy that we've had on here too.
I know. We're the black sheep. I get it.
Yeah, Dillon loves twins.
Yeah, I get it. Dan always teases me when I brought that alder out. He goes, I was pushing up to the line and he comes over and he's got his clipboard and his headphones on and he pulls his headphone away or his microphone, whatever. And he looks at me, he goes, you're not as bad a person as I thought you were now that you have a single. I go, there's still hope yet.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely love Dan. I don't know. He's just a good dude.
Yep. Good people. Good people.
What's your favorite place to pull?
Well, I haven't pulled it a lot of, obviously do some brush pulling around here, but I like that little park that I was telling you about that has all the trees and stuff. That's definitely one of my most favorite summer spots. And then winter, I really liked Liberty because we can really let the twins run in Liberty. We can get up 17 mile an hour and stuff. So that's, it's a good, nice track, nice facility.
I don't know.
But that's a real nice twin track. So
I don't know what it is about Liberty, but I love going down there too. I like it whenever you guys are pulling, and then I think it's the first weekend in March. They have mini rods and the motorcycle tractors, and then they have some stock stuff, 12 horse classes, and like I'll take my 16 down there and pull, and they have some stock twin stuff. But I love going down there for both your pull and that, or you guys' pull and that pull. I don't have a clue what it is about it. It's just a nice place to go, and it seems like the people down there are really, really nice and always remember you, and make some good friends down that way. Yeah.
Wes has been trying to talk me into going up to New York to that. They have that small town throwdown up there, it's called. Those guys really like that up there. And then, I guess this past year, they went up to Canada. So we were talking about going to Florida this year.
Yeah, we did too.
I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I mean, I got a bunch of projects going on and work's super crazy, and I don't think it's going to. I had all intentions, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, we kind of talked about going to Florida ourselves. Her mom lives down in Pensacola, and we were going to try to make a kind of a trip of it. But the weird thing is the same weekend there are two different pulls down there. Both of them are pulling garden tractors. One of them's Jerry Cantrell's pull, but there's another one that they're pulling antiques and like super stocks and trucks and mini rods and all kinds of stuff, and it's like an hour away from there. Huh. It kind of surprised me.
Yeah, well, like I said, it was a pipe dream at first, and then I thought, well, if I can have a couple I wanted to load the trailer up. I mean, if I'm going there, I'm loading everything up. But and work has just gotten crazy here recently, and this is a rough time of year for us to get away. So I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe next year. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what we decided on. Maybe we could plan a little better for next year and make more of a trip of it, because I was going to try to go down and Vin too.
Right.
Did you see Matt Ronenbaum I think I said his name right, is
yeah.
having a pool in June, I think, out in
Yeah,
Ohio.
we'll be there with that one. That ought to be a good one.
Yeah, I talked to him the other day, I guess yesterday it was. I'm going to try to come out and vend anyway. They didn't have anything for me, but I'm going to come vend and hang out.
There ought to be some good stuff there. I mean, that's some pretty good money, and I'm sure they'll put a good track together, and it ought to be fun. So yeah, we'll be there as long as. I don't think we're going on vacation. We always go the second week of June, and I think that's towards the end of June. So
yeah, I don't remember exactly. I want to say June 27th, maybe.
That sounds right.
But so obviously you pulled trucks and you pulled summer series or summer clubs and the NQS. I like asking everybody this question just because I think it's good for growth all around. But what's something you do to improve the organizations you pull with? Like maybe to help run it, make it run more smooth,
I mean, as a whole, I think our guys, I'm not in, I don't follow one particular club. Like, I don't pull for points just because of schedules and everything. I mean, I literally look at the calendar, and if it works for us, that's where we go that day. So, but I feel like a lot of the clubs around here, they do a very good job with it. And actually, believe it or not, this year, Wes and Jared and their club, the SWPA club, the club up north that I was talking about has a nice park, and the club out east that we pull with a little bit, they're starting to have a set of rules that all three clubs are following. It's gaining traction. It's not quite there yet, but it's really starting to gain traction, which would be phenomenal. And I know it's a total pipe dream, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I'd just love to see I don't even care if it would be a national set of rules, but just a kind of a general area rule. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily saying you guys there need to have the same rules we have here, but I'd just love to see some of these clubs kind of just join up, not necessarily join, but just share ideas with rules. And, cause it's going to benefit everybody. It's, around, like you said, around here, you can be in 4 or 5 different clubs and pool, and if they all have a close set of rules within reason, you can go anywhere. So I don't know. It might be a pipe dream because obviously trucks were the same way. You'd go to every fair had a different pool or a different set of rules and whatnot. But I don't know. That would be one of the things I'd love to see.
Yeah. I've said it many times on here. We're very fortunate where we're at. We've got several clubs that seem to try to work together, especially the one over in Missouri we pull with. We try to schedule with each other, and we try to, mirror each other's rules fairly close. And I think we're really fortunate for that because I've heard a lot of people say that there's places, an hour from you and you can't go pull because the rules are so different. And
they have some obscure rule that, basically you look at the rule and you're like, oh, okay, that's because they only want whatever there. You know what I mean? It's just some obscure rule. But they've done the clubs around here in the last couple of years. Here again, I haven't been involved in it that long, but I feel like they're trying. And I mean, that's all you can really do, right? I mean, if they're working in the general direction and, trying to get there, then that's a good direction to work in. So,
well, it just helps everybody else too. Like if you can get together on rules and scheduling, like we have as many people cross the river to come pull with us on a weekend, and then we'll turn around and do the same. We'll all pack up and go pull with them.
Yep.
Because we can, versus working against each other, and we get half as many hooks between the two.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the people I'm referring to Egypt Mills tractor pull, and they're in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, or outside of, and those people are just fantastic people to go over and deal with. And they support us a lot as well.
Well, and that's what we do. Like, we try to, if, around here, I don't know if you know Jared Dorsey or not, but like there's a couple of the guys and, we'll load up and go and, maybe take 4 or 5 tractors to, somebody's night pool at the fair to kind of help out with you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
try to I don't want to say put a show on, but, just help, you know what I mean? And, none of us do this to get rich. So, at the end of the day, it's nice to be able to go and support and do what you need to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that seem to have kids in the 12-horse class, or they will pull the 12-horse class, and it's not uncommon to look down the track and someone that ain't even involved in our club whatsoever is flagging for us.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone seems to jump in and pick up and help out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is because, obviously at the end of the day, we're all doing this for volunteer and have fun, so.
Definitely. Let's see. I lost my spot here. So this might kind of have to do with what we just talked about with improving the organization, but what could we all do to promote pulling and improve the sport as a whole?
I think currently what you're doing is a phenomenal idea because of just the day and age we're in, right? I mean, let's be honest, life is all about, Facebook, podcasts, internet, whatever it may be, social media, let's just say that. The days of looking at I don't know if you guys have farm and dairies, but the farm and dairies to figure out where the tractor pools and truck pools were, they're gone, So in order to shine light on stuff like that, I mean, like just as simple as if somebody just shares your post and it gets shared, say 25 times and those 25 see 25 other people see it. I mean, I think it's just where the world's going. Everything's social media driven. So
I'll tell you what, I'm not a person that likes to hear my voice on a phone or recording or a video or anything like that. And I've said it many times that this started as more or less a joke and it's turned into something really cool. But recently I've really started trying to push like my TikToks and stuff a little more. Yep. And something I'm really finding is, the parts I make is shooting more for the guy pulling their local pools, getting their kids interested, getting, a guy that's new into it or got their kids new into it. And anyway, what I've been doing a lot is TikTok videos explaining parts and also YouTube. I've been posting stuff on YouTube. And then, like, if you go to order a part off my website, I've got a link to YouTube on there. And I talked to 3 people today that used it and thought that was just a wonderful thing. And you're absolutely right. People scrolling TikTok sees your parts. And that's going to help. And then it's going to help them understand the parts and they're not going into it blind if they're new.
Well, and you don't realize how many people you reach, right? You think you're just, say you're sharing a post on whatever and, say 6 months down the road, you talk to this random person at a tractor pool and they're like, oh, we saw, your weight bar, and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, how in the world? I mean, like, I deal with that because I do a lot of specialized work in what I do, like with like injuries and stuff. And so I try to, I'm not as good as I should be, but I try to be somewhat active on, I don't have anything other than Facebook, but, and people will be like, they'll even say to like my mom or Angie or somebody, they'll be like, oh, we saw Chris, man, some of that stuff he does is just crazy. And it's just people you wouldn't even like dream of that would, see something like that.
Oh, definitely. So. And it is wild. And it's something that I've had to get over myself is just, that's where we're at now. You got to do that to get it out. It's just how the world is.
I'll be honest. I mean, if I'm looking for like, say I'm looking for a part and like, they don't have like a Facebook or like a like a website. Like I like a website personally.
Yeah, me too.
Like your website. I like to be able to click on something, read about it, watch the YouTube, and I understand it's a lot of work to build those websites out. I get that. But honestly, I'll kind of move on sometimes. I'll look for somewhere else because there's a lot of times I don't get in the house till, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I can't call them. They're already closed. You know what I mean? So like, if I can't get on and like kind of, do my ordering or, look at a product and it could be anything. I'm not even talking tractor stuff. I kind of move on to, something else. And it's just, I feel like if you don't, getting kind of back at the subject, if, these clubs, like, even your little clubs, like just taking pictures and posting them on Facebook and, like just even posting your rules, right? So people can see them that are public and, they don't have to pull teeth to find them. And, it's just the world we live in. But I feel like there's a little bit of the changing of the guard. I feel like it's, we're starting to kind of get into that now where people are really realizing like, oh, this is how this has got to happen. If not, we're going to be behind and it's just never going to take off.
I'm one of those people, really. I'm not going to lie. I always kind of felt like, no, I need to have my head down, welding, grinding, doing stuff in the shop instead of jacking with that.
Yep.
And that's not really the truth. You've got to put stuff out there for people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with the library. Like, we're in the process of making a TikTok for the library because that's what's getting, like, there's tons of library trends on TikTok right now, and it's really getting people to be like, oh, libraries are fun. Come to the library.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't,
people think of it as
everyone thinks libraries are dead. And
quiet library. Right.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, it is, and it's, I'm kind of like you, Dillon. Like, I just, I kind of want to just, I'm just kind of want to do my thing, right? Like I want to, you build parts. I just want to shoe horses, but like I'm fortunate enough at this point, I don't have to really advertise anymore because, I've been doing it so long. But I mean, I have a couple guys that are working, a guy that's working for me right now. And I'm like, listen, you need to get a little more active on Facebook and sharing your work. And, and it just, that's how you gain traction anymore.
Well, what's wild to me is the stuff that, they'll catch people's attention on there too. Not just the informational videos that I've put out about different parts and how they work, but I don't know. I've put stuff out doing things at the mill or the lathe that's 15 seconds long and people love it.
Yeah.
It just blows me away. But at the same time, I'm the same person that's scrolling TikTok and I'll stop and watch somebody make something on a mill or lathe and be like, oh, that's cool.
That's pretty neat. Right.
Or cutting on the plasma table and waiting to see what it is. And so I get it, but it's something I've had to get used to. And, I agree getting back to what the original question was. I think that's how we promote the pulling is just make it out there more. That's how new people know it's there.
Yep. Yeah. You just have to do it because if not, it's just like if you're trying to advertise with a flyer on a telephone pole, those days are gone. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, people don't stop to look at that anymore. Everybody's so busy, right? They sit down at 9 o'clock at night. They're scrolling through social media and they, this pool pops up and they're like, oh, that's a good looking pool. You know what I mean? And then they dig a little deeper and before you know it, they're coming there on, Saturday or Sunday or whatever day. So.
And flyers make a big difference too.
Yep.
I've found on my website or on my Facebook, if I put a new part out there, people are going to look at the pictures and move on. They're not going to read the description, which kind of wears me out sometimes. That's why I've got a website too, is just like you're saying. I've got ways people can get the information and, videos and everything. But yeah, if it don't grab their attention right off the bat, they're going to keep going or they're going to skim over it.
Well, and it's just like, here again, it's the world we live in, right? Everything's fast paced. It's just the world.
Yeah. We're all,
maybe we don't like it, but that's what it is.
Yep.
So what advice do you have for new pullers? And I know that you're kind of a new puller too, but
So I think that probably the biggest thing or biggest advice, whatever, would be a couple things, kind of twofold. One, if we're talking indoor or summer pulling, you need to pick a club and build a tractor to it. I see it on the Facebook all the time, like, I'm going to build a 16 horse, what do I need to do? Well, the first thing you need to do is figure out, A, what class you want to pull in, because that's a very broad, question.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, you need to figure out what club you're going to pull in. And then I think once you figure that out, you need to go to the pools and hang out for a little bit, which is kind of the route I did. I went to the pools and kind of hung out and kind of obviously look at the guys that are up front and, and just ask questions and be observant. You can learn a lot, say on a chassis or anything, just by looking at tractors. You don't even have to ask questions.
Oh yeah. I don't know how it is around you, but as far as like at our club we're part of, there ain't a person there that ain't gonna stop and chit chat about their tractor.
No, everybody likes to talk about tractors. That's why we're doing it. So
definitely. But
yeah, I think that's two of the biggest things, right? Like, so figure out where you're gonna pull. Obviously, I kind of went about it a little bit goofy. I'm definitely different than probably most, with the way I did it, but I still went to NQS stuff and kind of observed and, but on the other hand, I had Wes kind of in my back pocket, kind of coaching me along with, what NQS level stuff requires and, that as far as that stuff goes. But, I definitely did it a little kind of different than anybody else. But on the other hand, I still went and, looked at what engine builders were in the front and, who built the chassis and, all that stuff. And then you just start reaching out to people. And I think most people will find, and, I'd say you could probably agree with me on this, you're not going to find one person, and I don't care what level they're on, that isn't going to talk to you about whatever. That's probably the biggest thing, is just surrounding yourself with the right people that have the knowledge.
Definitely. One of the things that I've always found, is there's people that'll help you, and they're not going to let you look like a fool. They're not going to give up their secret sauce, though.
No.
But also, whenever it comes to spending a bunch of money, they'll kind of lead you the direction you need to go rather than, yeah, go ahead and spend money on that and see if it works. Just, no, maybe you need to think about it a little different way. Don't go blowing that money there, but maybe here.
Yep. Yeah, and, I talk to a lot of guys about the twins, and I tell them a lot, like, some of the most power you can make in a stock level twin or even a NQS twin is in your heads, like, if you don't have a whole lot of money, some of the best money you could spend is on a good cam from a reputable cam builder and, head work and take them to where you need to take it. And, that's a heck of a place to start. And, you definitely see it, and I've actually done it. You throw good money after bad, and I've kind of had to regroup a little bit. It's kind of what I'm doing this winter. I didn't throw good money after bad, but I just didn't make the best decisions on some of my tractors. I kind of got ahead of myself. But, if I'd have probably just kind of stepped back, took a little bit of a deep breath and kind of, made a little better decisions, I wouldn't have, I don't want to say I wasted money, but I guess I wasted money on some stuff that I just didn't really need. So.
What would those things be?
I kind of pulled a bonehead move and, I built an engine that wasn't necessarily, okay, so let's take the stock Alder, for example. I thought I bought that as it was a complete tractor. I bought it off of a guy. One of those deals, it was such a great deal that, it was one of those deals like you just couldn't really pass it up. Well, I didn't really talk to anybody. I mean, I did, but I didn't. But I didn't realize in those aftermarket blocks, once the ports and stuff are cut for the valves, you can't go back and fix them, right? Like once they're cut at an angle, that's just what they are.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of we made good power with it, but it's still a little shy. It's just shy on NQS stuff. Like, it'll be nice. It'll be plenty good for outdoor summer pulling. But, I didn't ask the right questions. And it was simply, I was naive. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I just didn't know. And, here again, if I would have trusted a couple people around me, or not even trusted, but just ask a couple people around me, it could have saved me a lot of money. You know what I mean? Because to do one of those blocks, by the time you buy one, have it machined and everything, you're $3,000-$4,000 to do another block. So, right there, that's a pretty good shot in the arm.
Yeah.
So, that's just one small example, but I mean, there's other things too, like, tires. I didn't realize, here again, I didn't know much about tractor pulling. I didn't know there was indoor tires and outdoor tires, right? So I see these guys are pulling with these Nichols 102s, and I'm like, well, everybody that's winning has these. Well, yeah, they were winning indoor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I run them outside and destroy a pair in the summer, and I'm like, what in the world, right? So Caleb Peters does all my tires, and he's like, yeah, man, they're not meant to run outside. So I get to talking to him, and he's like, here's the tires you want for outside. Here again, destroyed a $1,000 set of tires, but sometimes the best lessons are expensive ones. And, I'll never forget that, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but like just things like that. I mean, but here again, that's like, that's kind of new puller growing pains. So.
Oh, yeah.
What do you like most about pulling?
I love competition. I love to compete. I don't care if we're walking to the end of the sidewalk or we're pulling tractors. I want to win. So that's just, I love the competition side of it. And that kind of goes with, like the friendly bantering and, the friends and everything else. Like that part's awesome, but I love the competitive side.
Do you have any other hobbies outside of pulling?
Sam, I have too many hobbies is my problem.
Same.
Yeah, I need to cut back on my hobbies.
They just all look so fun.
They are. Well, that's the problem. They are fun. And so I, believe it or not, I really enjoy golfing. I don't get to do as much as I used to with, running kids and everything else. I do some hunting in the wintertime. I usually take a trip out west to hunt every couple of years. I mainly just bow hunt anymore. I don't really do much rifle hunting anymore, but, I take the girls out, but we sit in the shack and eat snacks. So that's our hunt.
And that sounds pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, they love it. So, and then of course, we have the racehorses, which it's not really a hobby, but I mean, it's time consuming like one. So, when I'm not doing my job, I'm always helping Ange with, that kind of stuff. So, that's really the main three. I mean, between that and tractor pulling, there isn't too many minutes left in the day.
I understand that.
Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I jotted down a couple, and I speaking of newlyweds, I wanted to know, how's it going?
Oh, wow, it's been, what,
how's the married life?
Not any different than it was before.
Literally no different, except now I have to catch myself when I'm calling him my boyfriend.
Same.
I'm like, oh, wait, my husband.
Yeah, the most common thing I've run into is my girlfriend, not my wife, and then I'll have to be like, they're the same person.
Yeah, literally.
Got married.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could take you down a rough road.
Yeah. Because we were together for 5.5 years.
I was just going to ask you. That was my question. Yeah. How long have you guys been together?
Yeah, 5.5 years, and we've been married like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Me and Ange have been together. November was 3 years. So.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's any different.
No, it's not. I mean, we live together, and we do life together, and it won't be anything different than a piece of paper, I guess. So.
Yeah.
So what, you asked me this earlier, but I actually had this in my notes. what are your guys' favorite class, say, in the summer and the indoor stuff? Like, what do you guys like? Do you like twins, singles? What's your deal?
I pull the 16 horse, basically a hot stock class.
Okay.
What I pull, and I like it most because of the people that I'm pulling with. The main ones we pull with at our club we're all real tight. Well, both friendship wise, but also like competition's pretty tight. It could be anybody's day.
Yep.
There's a few others that, you got to worry about and they're strong, but you can get them. For me, it's the people more than anything.
Yeah.
In that class. As far as like watching and like going to NQS pools and stuff, I like them all because I've met so many good people there that I like to watch and kind of root for, I guess, that I like pretty well all of them. DuCoin, the super stock was my favorite because Bradley Cruzine and Mike Hasswinkle were up there pulling, and
Yep.
Bradley's been around it for a long, long time, and he's from the town I'm from, and I just have a huge amount of respect for Bradley. And then Mike, he's got a 50 cube, and he went up there to pull, and his is set up a little better for outdoors, but I pull against Mike in that 16 horse class also. Okay. And he's just a good buddy, older fella I really respect, and I like watching them guys go down the track on their hot rods up there.
Yeah, if I was to leave the twin class, which isn't going to happen, I would absolutely have a Vogel super stock carb. No questions about it. I've talked to Kevin about it before, but that's a pile of cash, as everyone's aware. But yeah. I think they have a great program there.
Absolutely, and you can tell when one of their motors fires.
Oh yeah, you don't even have to listen; you can feel it.
Yes, they have a different sound to them.
Yep. Yeah, they built a good super stock carb, but that's my if I'm watching, if I'm busy or whatever, I always kind of watch. I always try to catch the super stock carb final class. I love that class.
Yeah,
I run a 12 stock.
Yeah, you're on the 12. Now, if I remember right, in a previous podcast, you guys were talking about were you maybe going to bump up or no?
We talked about it. We decided I'm just going to kind of revamp my Am tractor.
Okay.
And we're just giving her a little makeover.
You're going to pull in third gear.
I'm going to stay in the 12.
Gear, huh?
What was that?
You're going to pull in third gear instead of second gear this year.
Yeah, we're just putting a little love into hers this winter, and
that's all right.
Going. I would say for both of us too that we really, really like watching the kids. We have so many little buddies pulling,
and I can pull against them, which I like and they like, because if they like beat me, they have a lot of fun with that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my nephew can pull mine, which I love, and he loves and tries to steal it. So
so around here we have obviously a youth 12 or a stock, whatever you want to call it, and then most of the kids will bump into like the stock 12, right? So that way
we do the same.
They can pull like 3 or 4 times in a day, which is great. It's because that's a long day for them to not be able to literally hook one time, and now we got to wait on dad or mom to pull and whatever. So yeah, the kids they're a blast. I love, my most favorite part about it is my girls aren't old enough yet to let the clutch out, but I make them run the gas pedal, and I built pedestals for them, to obviously, because they can't reach the pedals. So I have built pedestals for their gas pedal, but I love putting it in gear and pushing the clutch in, and then telling them to push the gas down, and then seeing their grin. That's like my most favorite part. Is I love watching that.
Well, it was like I was talking about Huey earlier. The first time the front wheels come up off of his tractor, and he looked over at me, and I think both of us were just smiling real big, and we come off the track. Uncle Dillon, I did a wheelie.
Yeah. They're fun.
That's the best.
Yep.
He's not quite big enough to do the gas yet, and I've left his on a hand throttle.
Yep.
But he runs Sam's tractor one time this last year and knew it had a pedal on it and knew mine had a pedal. And he's like, Uncle Dillon, I want the gas pedal.
Yeah.
So what I did for him is I had an extra one around, and I went ahead and bolted it on without the cable.
Oh, okay.
Just a dummy for him to start learning.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of times whenever we're hooking, his dad's up there with me, and he'll tell him, now Colton, make sure the gas is down, and then he'll reach over and idle it up. He'll give him the gas, but he tells him to make sure he's got the gas down.
Yeah.
And we actually watched the videos, and he does a good job in the videos of keeping it down while he's pulling.
Yeah.
And we ask him, we're just kind of like training him. Like, Dylan will ask, like, how'd you do? Did you keep the gas pedal down? Or he'll be like, I kept it down the whole time. Yep.
That's what we always like. Ange always videos, and I'll have her I tell the girls okay, you're going to drive straight to there. And, of course I weight the front end way down because I don't want them to get scared of wheeling. They're not daredevils like yours, but, but they do a good job. I mean, for 5 and 8, they do a real good job. But like I said, the best part is when they idle that tractor up and, it comes to life and you see that big grin on their face. I think I have the same grin. I just can't.
Me too.
Oh yeah, Dylan, if you see pictures of it, Dylan is just as excited as that 4-year-old on that tractor.
Yeah, and that's no joke. But yeah, he's figured out we got to keep it down a little better. So of course, we'll rear up at the end of the track, but he drives the crap out of it and has it figured out. He's fun. He's a blast. Did you have any other questions for us?
No, that was it. I didn't want to bombard you, but I was curious how long you guys were together and. More of the personal side. Obviously, I see your stuff on Facebook with all the tractor stuff, but, you get to know people more personally. I feel like you become better friends and stuff.
Absolutely. I'd actually just told Sam, that's something that's been real interesting about this podcast thing is, I meet people at the pools and think, oh, they're kind of cool. I wouldn't, I think I want to be his buddy. And
it's just like back in grade school, huh?
Yeah.
You be my friend.
But, you get to doing the podcast, and it's just like tonight we're sitting around shooting the bull.
Yep.
And learn a lot about each other. It's just neat how that works. And then how many other people's learning about both of us listening to this.
Yep.
And I don't really go to the NQS pools. I'm a homebody. I
think you were to come down, right? And then the weather kind of got cruddy or something.
I did. I ended up at DuQuoin. Yeah, I was at DuQuoin, but I didn't really see a bunch of people.
We hooked the twin, and I rolled it to the bottom of the ramp, rolled it straight in the trailer, and strapped it down and left. It's because I was trying to beat the weather, which it worked, but not really.
That was the fastest I've seen one clear out, too.
Yeah, I think everybody was worried about that,
Well, when my door handles were frozen, I told him, I was like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Well, if you don't have anything else for us, I mean, we're kind of open books, wherever you want. I guess, do you have any call-outs?
Call-outs by meaning the guys you want to maybe have on the podcast?
Yeah, just different people you think might be fun or or have good stories.
I mean, obviously, I travel quite a bit, and I hear often about this guy that's out by you. What's his name? It's what's his last name? Is it Brown?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've heard
mentioned a time or two.
Yeah, I'd love to see him on. I've heard a lot about him, so it'd be interesting to maybe put a voice with him anyway.
Yeah, he's kind of a mythical creature.
Is he too cool for a podcast or what?
Kind of a chicken shit.
Maybe, huh? I didn't realize I was as long-winded as I was, but we didn't have any problem running through 2 hours.
Yeah.
No, yeah. You don't think you will, and we never think it's going to go that long, and then we're like, oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think too, like, I would love to hear of, and I don't really care. I mean, obviously I have my engine builders, but I'd love to hear some of those more technical guys. Like, I love when like Kevin Vogel, I was keyed in on that. I mean, matter of fact, I listened to it twice because, these guys have such a wealth of knowledge. It's really hard to get them cornered for, say, 2 hours to really pry into, and they don't even need to give you the top secret stuff. It's just, the years that they've put into it and, what they've learned and what they've accomplished.
Absolutely.
And, and obviously I use Mark Rader, who he's kind of, well, actually his brother Matt does a lot of the twins and Mark does a lot of the singles, but he's a good guy. And then like, I'd like to hear I know Matt grooms well, but I don't really know like how he kind of got into the, his side of things. So I'd like to maybe learn a little bit more of how he got into building the more custom parts and, what his setup's like and, how Autumn puts up with him, that kind of stuff.
Oh, she's a sweetheart.
She's
They're
a
both
saint,
good
is
people.
what she is, buddy. She's a saint.
Well, me and Matt's talked, and he's wanting to do it, and I'm wanting him on here, but, we're all busy, and it's kind of been tough to get our schedules to line up lately.
Oh, I get it.
I'd say he's going to be on it. I think I'm going to try to get him, Autumn, and Andy all on together.
Oh, that would be a show. That would
I think we're going to have open evening.
That would be a circus is what that would be. It would be entertaining.
Yeah.
Those are all good guys. I mean, even, Andy, obviously, doing his time at with Kerber and all that kind of stuff. He, there's another guy that's seen and done a lot that could really, he's a wealth of knowledge as well, Yeah. I think I would say I would put a governed, like a governed or say even up into that 5,000-6,000 RPM, I'd put his engine up against probably most any. And he his attention to detail is second to none. I mean, I'm a very, very picky guy. And when he sent me my engine and I started looking at it, I mean, there was nothing that I could pick apart on it. So.
Yeah, I actually talked to Julian out at DuQuoin also.
Okay.
And seeing if him and Kathy would want to do it. And
there's another, there's people that have done it for I don't know, ever.
They
you talk about it, that would be a great person,
Yeah, they kind of surprised me. They wanted to do it, and heck, me and him stood there and talked forever. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
And he's, there's a guy that has done all aspects, right? He vends, he builds engines, he does, what I mean? So, you talk about a fella that just, I mean, another one, it would be kind of neat to dive into his story. So.
Yeah. Well, got any thank yous or people you want to thank for anything?
Oh, I mean, we covered a lot of people and the people that are kind of in my corner with the tractors. Most people, I've touched on all that, but obviously it goes into my family. I couldn't do it without my mom and Ange. I spend a lot of time in the shop and I know it's taxing with kids and everything else, but, they kind of let me live out my, for lack of a better term, dream, with their support system. They never question and, of course everything gets done at home first, but, tractors they know is a very important thing. So that's just one of the, without them, it's just not possible to do it between running kids to sports and trying to keep multiple, tractors going and all that stuff. It takes kind of a village. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, buddy, we, really appreciate you taking time this evening to do this and, been a good time. Got to learn a lot about each other.
Absolutely.
I don't think I'll see you the rest of the year if you're not going to be at Greenville.
No, I don't think. I mean, unless something really changes, I don't think I'll be at Greenville. But I might run into you somewhere. Maybe I'll probably see you somewhere along the lines.
Yeah, I was wanting to make it out to Jackson, but they don't have any more room for vendors, so I probably probably won't
That's
make
a
it
pretty-
up there. And
That's
the
a pretty
rest of
tight
them,
place. That's
Yeah.
pretty tight in there.
yeah, and the rest of them's like 10 and 12 hours away from me, so I'm probably not
Right.
going to travel.
That's
out
a
there,
lot.
but
A lot of weight bars to sell, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do plan to go to that one Matt's having. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll
I'm
meet
sure
up
we'll
there.
be there. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be there. So.
All right, buddy. Well, you take care. You have a good evening. And thank you.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys later.
See you.